Huh. Okay. Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. Okay. Let's start off with Jocelyn and Carly. So after Jocelyn finds out from Jack where Carly's gonna be at, because Carly's supposed to sit there and meet Jack for drinks, she comes over there and she's like, listen, I'm gonna be going to Australia for a little bit. Apparently, Lady Jane's friend wound up like breaking a hip or whatever, and she needs some help or whatever, and two, we could sit there and find her like a good assistant or something, right? And so Carly's like, is there a particular reason why Jax just can't sit there and do it? In all reality, it's like it would make more sense for Jax to sit there and help with this woman while she is recovering and she's able to sit there and find an aid or whatever. Because if it's like helping around the house or the farm or whatever, it's not like Jax can't sit there and do it. Yeah, he's rich, but he can get his hands dirty. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not one of those like preppy kind of guys or whatever. And plus, she just got this whole internship or whatever. So like she's gonna sit there and leave the whole internship or whatever, go all the way down there. And so Carly's like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, this is kind of sudden, and this is really not making any sense. And so Jocelyn's like, okay, fine, listen, you was right about Vaughn or whatever. He is too old for me. He's taking things a little bit too seriously, and I'm just not really in that headspace or whatever to really, have a, be in a relationship or whatever. And and Carly somehow buys it. And part of me is just like, you were doing so well. You saw through the first lie um, that she told, and then the key part which somehow she missed was you were right. Because let's be honest, how many times does Carly sit there and say, you know what, you was right? It's very rare when she sits there and says it. So when she will sit there and say you're right, it's like no. You're giving up way too fast. And for when she talks to Jack, and she talks about, getting away from Vaughn and everything like that, she says, like, she's very strong headed, like her mother, whatever. It's like, yeah, well, she's similar to you in a lot of ways. So again, the fact that you didn't sit there and see that lie, I guess, this is where it's like you have to sit there and dumb down characters to sit there and further the plot, right? Now, Gio is not there telling Emma. Well, I'm sorry, Emma is not there telling Gio. It's like, nah, listen, I'm gonna do it. It's my plan. I don't want you to sit there and get caught breaking in or whatever. And they both sit there and try to persuade each other to not do it. And I'm kind of just like, Emma, the simple fact that that there's a good high chance of you getting caught doing this probably tell you maybe you shouldn't be doing this. I'm not just saying stop, but it has to be another way other than breaking into another lab and getting caught. You're so worried. It's like, first of all, you're so worried about him getting caught. Or are you Catwoman? Because, like, if you're not in one of those things, this is the second time you're one of getting caught. And granted, she's like, listen, if my parents, if Anna gets upset with me and I got to get shipped back to my parents' house, and my parents, I was like, girl, this will be the second time that you get broken. You get caught breaking in. I don't think I'm like. Let's put it this way: you going back home and you going back to your parents' house is probably the last thing that's going to wind up happening, because most likely you're going to get jail time, and I mean like actual real jail time. Not, oh, we're just going to try to clean it up or whatever. Not that crap that they sat there and did when after the whole protesting thing or whatever with the judge. Like, no. You may actually get real jail time. But, in the same breath, Gia was sitting there telling Emma, listen, you may not want to sit there and be so cavalier about not having your family in your life because, I really miss mine. And he talks about Lois and how cool she is. And, like, granted, the whole thing wasn't happening. But even Brooklyn, like, and Tracy, he misses his family. And I'm kind of just like, shouldn't you probably take your own advice as far as trying to patch things up a little bit? Like, okay, you being upset. Well, first of all, you being upset with Lois and Brooklyn might have been one thing, but like Ned and Tracy and just living in the Quartermains, like I feel like at some point, or even just a relationship with Tracy and some of the other people, the fact that he wants nothing to do with anyone, I feel like that is just really overdoing it. It really is. And I'm like, you're talking all of this, but you're not. And see, here's my whole other thing now, right? I don't remember exactly why he said he couldn't sit there and do it, but let's be honest. My thing with, and unfortunately, I know it's going to want to bring it back into the family fold. Because my whole thing is like, Gio's young, and when you're young, you think that you have all the time in the world to sit there and try to patch things up with the one you love. And unfortunately, that doesn't always go to plan. You know? And I have a feeling that by the time, and just FYI, I'm going to tell you this after, by the time they actually wind up getting to Monica's death, he's going to start to come around. And also, by the way, I just want to sit there and put this out now. The minute that they start doing the whole Monica's death, Monica funeral, and stuff like that, I'm taking a break from GH. As far as recording it, I mean, as far as like watching or reviewing and stuff like that, just we'll call it a mental health break. We'll call it for mental health reasons. Um, but I feel like that's when he's going to start to go back into the family fold. Now, we'll go with Brooklyn and Chase. Chase is disappointed that Brooklyn has been blowing Alexis off as far as this whole adoption process, and Brooklyn's is saying to him that, listen, we can't really, we can't really sit there and do this adoption process right now while things between me and Gio is still so frosty, because what's going to wind up happening is he's going to sit there and think that I'm trying to replace him, seeing how I already gave him up and everything like that, and everything that's happened afterwards. She's like, I want to sit there and try to start to build my relationship again with Gio. Chase is disappointed because Chase is like, how long is that going to be? It's not like you haven't been leaving the door open, and he's also like, this process takes a long time. So like, what kind of time frame are we looking at? And he's also sitting there thinking like, did you change your mind and everything like that? I mean, the point is that he's disappointed. And even when she says, listen, I'm just doing this, I hope you understand, and I hope you can wait. And he says, yeah, I can wait. He says, yeah, I can wait. His facial expression says something completely differently. And he winds up getting a fake phone call or whatever. Or he said it was a phone call to the station, and he has to go. Then he leaves, and he winds up calling the station like, hey, listen, so do y'all need any help? I'm just going to show up there anyway, just in case or whatever, because he is disappointed. I don't know if this is going to be like I don't know if they're going to break up, but it's definitely going to be frosty between those two. Oh, at one point, he wants to sit there and try to talk to um, Gia. She was like, don't do that. I don't want to push. And I get it from Brooklyn's side, because Brooklyn's like, listen, I got to handle this very delicately. I had to be very delicate about how I handle this with Gio. So, um, and I get the level of his impatience, but it's like, I mean, you can't sit there and rush her. What are you going to sit there and do? Like she says, she wants to do this whole process with everything, and she can't sit there and feel like she can focus on that, as she has to sit there and be trying to take care of Gio. So she got that going on. Hmm. The conversation between Leisel and Anna, I guess, was fine. There's one point where Liesel's talking about how she Mrs. Britta and everything like that. And she talks about how she regrets pushing her. She regrets um, putting Faze on ahead of her own daughter. She has a lot of regrets, and I get that. But then she comes out of nowhere and she's like, "Well, don't you have regrets too about you know um, missing a lot of Robin's life and just to sit there and be a WSB spy, whatever? Like, don't you regret that?" And it was kind of one of those things where it's like, why did you bring that up? I'm pretty sure she did regret it, but like there was no need to sit there and bring that up. It wasn't even like Anna sat there and volunteered. It was like, yeah, I regret that they're missing a lot of my daughter's life to sit there and serve the WSB. She just threw that out there. Like, don't you have a lot of regrets, all right? It's like, yeah, but she probably wasn't thinking about it until you just said something. Like that just seems so weird. It was almost like she was trying to bring her down to her emotional level or something like that. Like I just it seemed unnecessary to do. You know, I'm not gonna I don't understand that. But anyway, during the talk, this is when they start talking about daughters and stuff like that, and Robin and Anna's like, listen, I gotta sit there and tell Carly about Jocelyn what she's doing, and when Anna calls Carly's like, I gotta talk about Joss. Jack is there. Jack is like, oh, Anna's coming over. She's like, yeah, apparently she has to sit there and tell me something about Jocelyn. He's like, I gotta make a call real quick. It's like we knew exactly what that call was. Next thing you know, Anna's sister get kidnapped or whatever. Um, so yeah, um, I just gotta sit there and say, just on the side note, like Anna has a very interesting history. And it doesn't even just it's one of those things where it's not even just in Port Charles or General, not Port Charles, General Hospital, but it's also in All My Children in Pine Valley. This past Saturday, um, I went to doing a members training. We were sitting there watching old clips of All My Children, and like some of those things, like I don't want to get into it too much, but like it was like, damn. It's like when you sit there and say, I'll put it this way, like Anna has Anna has been through it. Okay, there's times where I find that Anna to be kind of annoying and a little bit insufferable, but like she's girl, that woman has definitely been through it. Um, I'll sit there and say that much. And for the people that watch All My Children, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I think the last scene. Oh, and then Jocelyn sits there and told um, Emma that she's leaving and that she told Dalton that she's leaving, whatever. And I know Dalton's gonna want to reach out to you, but don't sit there and take the position. And of course, Emma's like, "Oh, see, I knew you couldn't sit there and take it. And you couldn't hack it, or whatever. And you're abandoning a job you didn't want." And I'm just like, I don't. It's just one of those things. It's like she's hurling insults and she doesn't even know the whole story. But Jocelyn's like, "Hey, listen, the dude tried to hit on me. He's a sleazeball. You don't want to work for this guy." Obviously, she's not going to listen because she got her own agenda, but still. Oh, and then Britt is getting upset with the guy for not being able to leave and not really being able to get any work done because apparently the courier got to go back to Port Charles to get more data. This way she could sit there and complete her research on whatever the hell she's researching. So she's giving an attitude with him and everything like that, and um, he winds up leaving. Then she goes on. I'm assuming Instagram. I don't know if they're allowed to use Instagram or whatever, but she goes on some social media site and she sees Leisel with Rocco and everything like that. And towards the end, she's still taking injections for I have no idea, maybe Huntington's disease or whatever, because it's a soap opera. So I don't know. They might have found a magical cure or something. Who knows? Um, I have to sit there and say, it seems that Christina's plan is working. So Ava goes over Alexis's office and pretty much like, listen, here's how we're gonna do this. We're gonna cut Rick out because she's jealous of Rick constantly hitting on Liz and everything like that. It's like you give me like $1 million or whatever, we'll cut him out. And Lex is like, I don't know about that. I mean, you sure? Because it's just like I don't feel like how could I trust you or whatever. And so Ava brings out the key. The key is to the garage, and she's like, you'll take this key, you'll take the car, you'll destroy it. I'll give you the footage, and then that'll be that. Because I think Ava kind of realized that like she can only take out so much money before they're like, hey, listen, there's like a hole in Ace's bank account. So or Ace's bank account. So we're just gonna put you in jail. Like she kind of realized like this can only go on for so long. So she's like, listen, this would be your way out. We'll cut Rick off. Rick won't be able to do anything without evidence. And yeah. So as cockadoodle as this whole plan seemed in the beginning, it actually worked. But we are talking about Christina here. And Christina, as she put in her own words, is the family screw up. So she is not just talking to Cody, talking about, I'll give you like another $1,000, you just gotta sit there and find a way to speed up this process. Cody's like, I'm in. Okay, cool. This is where the plan's gonna go off the rails. Towards the end, Cody winds up showing up at Alexis' place. I mean, at Alexis's law firm. Meanwhile, Molly's not there meeting up with her dad, Rick, and talking about the book and everything like that she's been writing, and she doesn't really sit there and say what it's about, but we know what it's about. We know who it was inspired by. She's not there thinking about Cody and everything like that. And then Liz comes over, and Liz is like, "I got some bad news to tell you. Remember you told Willow to sit there and follow your advice and to be a good girl for the judge and everything like that? Yeah, she didn't listen. Yeah, she went to Michael's and it went exactly as you predicted. Full blown tits on. So, um, Rick is like, listen, that could be handled or whatever. But you're gonna have to try to keep her on the straight and narrow until this hearing. And basically, just have her be more like you. Have her just be more like you. Because, you're such a good role model. You're such a great mom. Just an awesome person. He starts flirting with her, whatever. Next thing you know, they're ordering food. They're ordering chocolate cake. And so Liz is like, I mean, are you sure? And of course, Mario's like, no, 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 no. Sit down or whatever. Rick is not there grabbing chairs and stuff like that. Molly's happy because Molly's like, hey, listen, I'd rather have Liz over Ava any goddamn day of the week. So, yeah. Okay, now I'm done. I think I'm done. God damn, this was a long episode. I just think it was just so many people in this episode. And I feel like I'm still not done. Now, I still got, let's see, Young and the Restless, Born and Beautiful, Beyond the Gates to watch. If I get done with that, I'll sit there and do my stream. I would sit there and say 8 o'clock, but it may want to be 8:30, so I guess we'll see. Like 6:30. Might be 8 o'clock. I'll sit there and post the time, let y'all know when, and we'll stream tonight. Alright. With that being said, if I missed anything, write in the comment section below. I'll see you in the next video.